So it was a big day in crypto today, right? Elon Musk, who is the richest man in the freaking world,
Hmm.
came out and said he bought a little crypto, a little being $1.5 billion worth for Tesla. And that made the price go much higher, right? We went from 38,000 all the way up to 46,000. Uh, and so, that's a big deal. The way crypto works is that different communities, one friend tells another friend, tells another friend, and people start saying, hey, I'm going to buy this. There's only 21 million Bitcoin, so there's a limited supply of Bitcoin. And more people want to buy it, drives the price up. And so what you see is it spread viral in each community. And so what's
Hmm.
been interesting, I'm watching even the hip hop community start getting more and more involved in crypto on Twitter and on what's that? That's that the big community thing on Clubhouse. Yeah,
Club.
and but so in Elon's case, he's doing that within the corporate community, right? Very few companies had bought Bitcoin. My company did. A company called MicroStrategy did. Jack Dorsey's company Square did. But there were very few public companies that bought crypto. And now, one of the top 10 companies in the world by market cap and the richest man in the world did. And so it sends a message to all the other corporations out there that maybe we should buy crypto, buy Bitcoin. And that's, in a lot of ways, that's listening to your generation, right? Bitcoin, cryptocurrency is literally the kind of social currency of Gen Z and millennials, of young people.
Hmm.
And so I've been telling companies, not only should you buy some for your balance sheet, but you should allow people to, buy your Starbucks or your McDonald's or your Bojangles chicken, best chicken there is,
Hmm.
buy your products using crypto. And so it was a big day. Have you
Okay.
invested yet in Bitcoin?
No, I actually was looking to do that top of the year, and I'm actually trying to close in on making that happen. I actually wanted to know the difference because I've been seeing Dogecoin be promoted heavily too lately.
Yeah, I think be very careful with Dogecoin. I think people are going to lose their shirt. So Dogecoin started off as a joke, right? We call them a meme coin. It literally was built as a joke. And the reason it's gotten so excited is because Elon Musk made a couple tweets about it. Uh, I think he was joking, not serious. But the same way that GameStop became a meme and everyone started buying it. And listen, the original people who bought it made a whole lot of money. But
Hmm.
all the poor fools that bought it late, that bought it, when it was $300, $400, $500, they lost their shirt. And I think Doge is the same thing. If you bought it at 1 cent, below 1 cent, fine. 2 cents, 3 cents, but it was 80 cents yesterday. And that's a long way down. I actually think you should be selling that coin if you're long it. Get out, take your money and run. Uh, it doesn't really have a purpose. It's just like a joke. Where Bitcoin really has a purpose to store value, and lots of, from Elon Musk to institutions, they're all starting to participate. Very serious people putting their money in it. Ethereum is another one. Very serious people. And so, hear me loud and clear. Stay away from Doge.
So you saying Bitcoin really go up from word of mouth and more people investing in it at once?
Yeah. And so the same thing had happened with Doge, but it was a lot smaller amount of people. It pushed the price up high because it wasn't as big of a system.
Right,
But there's no one behind those people, right?
right.
There's not a story on why Doge needs to exist. It was more like a fun shtick that everyone got involved in, like a bit, uh, and it's an expensive bit. If you buy it here at 80 cents and it goes to 40 cents, you lose half your money. And
Right.
and so a guy like me, I'll sell it up here and then buy it, I'll short it and then buy it cheaper. I would never buy it up here. Where Bitcoin could go down too, but in the long run, I'm pretty sure it's going to keep going up because it's being adopted by more and more people.
So in the last five, let's say 5 or 10 years, what's been the climate for Bitcoin? Like, has it increased more than you taking a loss or what?
Yeah, listen, if you bought Bitcoin in any year of the last 10, it's been the best investment, right? Better than the S&P, better than stock market, better than gold, better than real estate. It's gone up and down some, but it keeps on the long run heading up. And I think that's going to continue for the next 10 years. And so it would have been better if you bought it at the beginning of the year, right? Better if you bought it even last year because it's cheaper. And so now that it just moved up so high, if you're going to buy it, you buy a little bit and leave yourself some more to buy it if it comes down a little bit. But I think by the end of the year, it's higher. And by the end of next year, it's much higher. So I don't think you should put a ton of your money in Bitcoin, right? I tell people put 2 to 3%, 4% of their money in Bitcoin. At your age, I love to tell people, hey, you're supposed to have fun, right? You're young. You're supposed to spend some of your money on having fun, but you got to start saving. And if you start making a lot of money, you should save at least half. And of that half, maybe 10% in Bitcoin, buy some real estate, buy some stocks, and start getting a diversified portfolio. It makes a little bit more sense. The other cryptos can be really fun. I'd put a little less money in those and really dangerous. And so you got to be a little bit careful and you know what you're buying. It's easy to fall for the hype when everybody's on Twitter saying Dogecoin or whatever that hype is. Usually when everything's hyped up, it's time to sell, not buy.
Right.
The other thing I'd say is when you're getting advice from people that really, are just excited participants, you got to be careful who you take advice from, right? And someone who's making money, even if they're just getting lucky, they feel really smart all of a sudden. And so they're telling people with conviction, you gotta trust me, you gotta trust me. And they're like, wait a minute, where's his training from? Where did he get his information? Where did he get his knowledge? And should I really trust him? And so you got to migrate in real life and on the internet around people that have done their homework, that have built up a reputation, that have some credibility. And so you're listening to someone that knows what he's talking about. There are plenty of people online in crypto, right? There's a guy called Pump. There's a guy, Raul Paul. There are a lot of guys to follow. There's a African American guy who's great, Bitcoin Z. Bitcoin Zay, I'm sorry, Isaiah. He's got a following. And so, but be careful on who you pick to follow because, some guys are good and some guys just aren't.
Yeah, as far as knowing what they're talking about.
Yeah. So give me a little of your story. You made it. Well, how many years ago did you feel like now you got money, now you've made it, you started selling enough records, you could get yourself, your own apartment? How old were you?
It was really straight out of the gate into my recording deal. I signed a deal in 2018. So it's approaching 3 years that I've been signed. In the moment that I signed my record deal, I was trying to move from Chicago, and I actually did I signed in like late October, beginning of November, and I moved to California on Christmas. So I was able to make a big transition from where I was to a way better, putting myself in a way better predicament.
Yeah, that's it's interesting. It's one of the hardest issues of our social fabric right now, right? You grow up in a bad neighborhood. You're in lots of ways your desire is to leave the neighborhood so you can surround yourself in a safer neighborhood, people that can help you thrive in life. And it's exactly what you should do. The downside of it is the guys that are successful are leaving those neighborhoods, and they're leaving with less successful people in the neighborhood, so those neighborhoods never get better. And so it's a very confusing circle. But yeah, I mean, going to a place that you feel safe, going to a place where you're meeting and connecting with people that are going to help you kind of continue to grow as an investor, grow as an artist, grow is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So congrats on that. But it does make me think about how in the heck are we going to take these tough neighborhoods and turn them around a little bit.
You know what I'm saying? As far as it sounds like that's something that you really think about. I know as an artist, from an artist outlook, the only way that I see fit to pull up the people from my neighborhood is involving them within my music or something within the music industry, period, whether it's I'm taking them on tour and giving them a place and a job or a role to play, and then or seeing that these people, they may be into music too, and um, giving them a head start on their career. Like, what other ways do you see that I could be able to pull some people up from my neighborhood?
No, I think that's a great start. And listen, just being a role model, you know, like through your art, the messages you're sending people, like, you know, being authentic and real, but then being a role model, right? And what does a role model mean as a young superstar? It means have a lot of fun, but don't screw up too bad. You know,
Right.
be nice to people, right? Treat people kindly. You know, keep yourself, you know, mentally and physically healthy. Like those things sound stupidly easy. They're not easy, right? Listen, I screwed my life, you know, like screwed my life up a couple times in life. Too much, too quick. You start thinking you're the shit, and next thing you know, you screw things up. And so, at your age, just doing what you're doing and you know, keeping on a good path is a huge inspiration. And so, I think that's it. And then as you get older, and as you make a little more money, there's other ways you can start contributing. Right, mentoring young guys is an amazing way.
Mhm.
And so, but listen, you shouldn't take that much, you know, weight on your shoulders at your age. You should be having fun. You should be making your art, investing some money, you know, living your best life. But I
Right.
love the fact that you're thinking about that.
Now that's something I've been thinking about since I started, just even, you know, like we was talking about real estate, even being able to buy back my neighborhood one day.
Yeah, no, that's important. That's one way neighborhoods actually do get better is like, you know, people start reinvesting in them. So it's a good long-term goal. Did you get that from your mom and dad, mom or dad? That sense of,
Really, them was my own aspirations, like since a kid. I don't know why. That's just something I just seen, because I just actually I do. It was like just growing up in my neighborhood, seeing a lot of stuff that went on. I just felt like that I could be the one to make things better around me for everybody.
it's pretty freaking awesome. And you're doing it. So, you know, that's cool. It's a good path to be on.
All right.
All right. So we're talking a little bit about investing. We're talking a little bit about your neighborhood. Uh, how many of your friends that you grew up with have gotten out of the hood?
Um, I don't know. I don't think any though, to be honest.
Interesting. It tells you how tough it is, right? You go up. My daughter was a teacher in the south side of Chicago for 2 years, and she'd call home every night, or at least a few times a week, and tell us of the stories of how tough it was. And you know, it tells you. She was saying the same thing. The kids in her school, very few could make it out. It wasn't the kids' fault. You know, shitty schools, tough neighborhoods, tough circumstance. So uh, we got to do something about that, or you know, we're gonna have a revolution at one point. And you keep seeing that. Part of why Bitcoin is doing well, you know, part of why I think we saw riots at the Capitol, part of why we saw what we saw with the GameStop. People are angry that we've got this social instability, right? The gap between the rich and the poor getting too wide. Uh,
Hmm.
in cities, the rich side of the city, the poor side of the city, even the public school system in Chicago. If you're in a good neighborhood, the public school system, it's a nice school, and if you're in a bad neighborhood, it's a shitty school. And it's like, wait, the same tax dollars are paying for it. And so I don't know how we're going to fix it, but man, we need to. Uh, and I guess, listen, you know, it's not your job to fix it. Your job to, you know, write about your experiences. Uh, but it's interesting when you say zero. My buddy I'm sitting with, he told me the same thing in his neighborhood here in New York. one or two people that he grew up with. And I'm always saying
Yeah,
this. I'm sure your guys know this, but my 11 fans that I got on this thing, they've never been to that neighborhood, and so it's interesting to hear about it.
yeah, that's why, like conversations like this, you feel me, from people like me coming from where I come from and being in the position that I am, just being able to spread knowledge. So having conversation with people like you or people of your caliber, that's like one move, putting one foot forward.
Yeah, no, I listen. One of the things I think is crazy that in school we don't teach anybody anything about investing. Like people
Right,
should learn investing in high school, what a checkbook
right,
is, what a savings account is, what stocks are, what bonds are, how to set up an account, how to set up a cryptocurrency account, uh, what leverage is. And so I'm trying to figure out myself on how to create a small course, to leave even in crypto, just to kind of take people through the simple things about what Bitcoin is. Because for your generation, Bitcoin's more important. Like when I grew up, we weren't worried about the dollar. We weren't worried about if we made money, we saved it, we could put it into a bank, and that we thought would be worth more when we got older. You could buy more stuff with it. Now the
mhm,
problem is you put your dollars just in the bank. In 5 years, that house you might wanted to buy for 400,000 is now going to be 1.2 million because
yeah,
we're printing so many dollars. And you're like, why did I save my money, right? And so
right.
that's why things like Bitcoin or other hard assets. Why I said, hey, buy some real estate now. If you can afford real estate, you should be buying some real estate now. And it's one of the few places where the bank will lend you a lot of money. And so,
Because that was the conversation that we was having not too long ago
yeah,
about when you, because the first thing that I was thinking that I didn't want to be in debt or like on anybody rather. So I'm like, I should pay this house off as soon as possible.
yeah. And I was like, don't do that. I said, like, when you're lucky enough to be able to borrow money for 10 years or 30 years from a bank, you should leave them lending you the money and take that money and put it into more productive things. And you can't go
Right.
spend it on dumb stuff, but you know, put it in stocks, put it in Bitcoin, put it in, a business that you're going to start. Uh, that's why real estate's so good. It's one of the few places the bank will lend you money. Uh, so I think that's the first thing every young person should do is they try to figure out how much they need to save so that I can buy my first house. Plus, it feels awfully good to live in your own house.
Definitely. I know that was one of the biggest like weights lifted off my shoulder. I rented my first three or four cribs, and I can tell you annually these are 100,000 plus to live in. So it's like this money just really going down the drain. It ain't. I can't put that towards none. I can't get that money back. So coming into home ownership was a big thing for me. It was a big deal for me.
Yeah, no, it's especially in an environment when we think prices are going to go up. And right now, it feels like prices of everything are going up. Right, the government's just printing so many dollars that's why the price of everything is going up. Uh, so, you ready to start performing again?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I feel like this is gonna be the year to open back up for us to perform. Hopefully, if not, I know 2022 for sure. But the year just started. Hopefully, like
I
within the
think
middle.
by I think by May or June things are open back up. We were looking today at the COVID infection rates; they're starting to plummet, and as more people get the vaccine, I also think people your age, it doesn't do so much damage. You get the flu. It kind of my son just had it, right? It sucks for a little bit, and a week later you're fine. And so I think as soon as we vaccinate 60-year-olds to 80-year-olds, we get the old guys vaccinated, then people are going to feel much safer going out. And so my guess is by May you're performing and frickin' the city's erupting, no matter where you are, LA, New York, Chicago. It's going to be a ton of fun. That's
For
what I'm hoping
sure.
at least.
I hope so. I ain't even get to tour my second album that came out. So, and I'm on my way to dropping my third one this year. So, I definitely hope that I'll be able to perform these songs in front of a crowd.
Yeah. No, that's, I guess for an artist too, it's where you make a lot of your money, right?
Yeah, and it's not even just about the money. Like, I just had an interview opportunity that they was trying to really pull up on me because of everything that's going on with the pandemic, and I was more so willing to go reach out to them or be in their space away from home because we not getting those same experiences as artists no more. Like we getting our press runs taken away from us, we getting shows taken away from us. We like to be able to reach out and touch the people, but feel me, with everything going on, that's hard to do.
Yeah, it takes a lot of the fun away. I got a nephew who was in the movies, and he had 3 movies and no red carpets. You know, he did a freaking Zoom red carpet. Like Zoom red carpet sucks versus a real red carpet. And I was like, damn, you finally break into movies, and they stole all the fun from you. And so I'm hoping for his sake too. But I'm pretty certain that by the summer we're going to be having fun. Or you guys should be having fun. I'm hoping to be having fun. All right. I heard now one thing that I found really interesting is that you love food. You're a foodie.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's everybody though, but I know I am definitely.
And you find in LA a great place to eat yet?
Um, uh, I'd eat Harold's, but that's really a Chicago restaurant. That's the only place that I like mainly go to, Harold's in Hollywood. But as far as like a new place to venture off to,
I'm gonna have my daughter Gabby. She lives in LA. She knows all the good restaurants. I'm gonna have her send you a list. all the
but
hot
no, I
spots.
definitely need.
Yeah.
I'm actually, I actually been looking into investing in and trying to put like a restaurant up in Cali that like a one that everybody familiar with, but just not in that area specifically. Like something that's popular in a place like down south, or like just a place that the California people aren't really privy to. You know.
We're gonna talk to you later about Bojangles. It's my favorite chicken restaurant. I own a bit of it, and we're trying to bring Bojangles in more parts of the country. Right now, it's big in North Carolina. It's like a religion in North Carolina, South
Yeah.
Carolina, Georgia. And so maybe you'll be the perfect guy to help us build it out in California.
Oh no, for sure, I'm with it. I never ate Jangles yet. I can't recall the time that I ate it yet, but I heard that it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll send you some. No, you got to eat it there. It's good. It's all fresh. No, that's
For sure.
one of the fun parts about you starting to make some money and do with it. Like you start making some investments in things you like, then it becomes fun. You become a cheerleader for those things. Spokesman, even if it's not an official spokesman.
Recently, I recently just saw an interview with Rick Ross and him saying like how he started the whole chain of the wing stops, and it genuinely started just because his love for it, like the lemon pepper wings. So I can see where that'll be the better investment to invest in something that you actually like.
Yeah, Wingstop is crushing it too. Like their stock just keeps going higher. That company's worth like $4.5 billion for a freaking chicken wing company. It tells you if you get the product right and you get the business model right, that's how people get real rich. It's funny, like Puffy made more money on Ciroc than he did as a performer or as a producer on his vodka, and so using your celebrity, using your profile to get yourself into deals. So the more fame you build or more profile you build in your field, the more opportunities are going to show up in things that are tangential, as long as you keep a curiosity. Surround yourself with the right people. You never know. You might make more money as a chicken man than you did as a performer.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. It's probably a
but
lot. It's probably a lot less fun, but it's probably a lot easier.
yeah, I'm trying to make this money while I'm sleeping.
Yeah. Well, what else you want to talk about?
We touched on the crypto. We touched on real estate. I don't know. Just when it come down to investments, how do you know whether or not something is a good investment, and how do you know whether or not that it's gonna have a long run, that investment got longevity?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, if you try to put me out on stage to entertain people, I would do really poorly, you know. And so the first thing is you got to surround yourself with people that have a lot of knowledge, domain expertise in what they're doing. And so I said this a little bit earlier, but when you're thinking about investing, you got to talk to people that are really good investors because they've done a lot of the homework. In the same way you've done a lot of homework in learning how to do your art and entertain. You grew up doing it, so it's in your DNA. You got to find the right investors, and you can find them. Like you're lucky enough, probably you can find them that'll be your team. Most people can find them on the internet. They can find them in their local community. But you got to surround. You got to find the smartest investor you can. You got to make your bet small enough that if it goes against you a little bit, you can still sleep. Right? One of the mistakes people make, they think I'm going to get rich quick, and so I'm going to put $10,000 in a Dogecoin when they only have $11,000 in the bank, and then Dogecoin goes down, and they start crying, and they get nervous, and so you're not going to get rich quick. It's very hard to get rich quick, and so if you make your bet size right, you got to know if you're investing something or if you're gambling. Like, listen, I like gambling, but you want to gamble with small amounts of your money for fun, and you want to invest with larger amounts of your money, to make money, not for fun. And so then you want to be in, like, if it's a stock, you should understand the product. Hey, if anyone could have invested in In-N-Out Burger, you go to In-N-Out Burger, there's a line around the block. They got that damn good hamburger. You knew that was going to be a success after you saw the third one. And so part of it is, don't just trust the story, understand the product, understand, is this thing growing? The single best way to think about investing in a person, in a product, in a business, is it growing at a quicker and quicker rate? If it's growing at an accelerating rate, their business, the amount of money they make, the amount of fans they're getting, you want to invest in that guy, right? And so when someone's famous but he's shrinking, you don't want to be invested in them, right? You want to invest in expansion and not invest in contraction. And so if you kind of think about that intuitively, that's why sometimes it's most fun as a young guy to find what are the new young hot restaurants, what are the new young hot designers, what are the new hot artists. And at one point we're going to have a system where we'll be able to bet on the young artists. Right now some producers will bet on you, and they'll take some percent of your career to help you drop your first album. But one of the things that crypto is going to do is it's going to allow the market, individual people, to bet on people, and you'll have your own token, and it won't be just a fan token that you're selling. It'll be some part of your production contract, and your fans will buy it. And when you're doing hot, the price of it will go up, and you'll sell some more of them. And so, it's one of the coolest things that's going to happen in the next 10 years with what we call blockchain. Blockchain is the database that cryptocurrencies are built on top of. It's going to go from Bitcoin and Ethereum and jokes like Doge to actually really real world stuff on how artists get paid, on how artists sell their stuff. We're invested in a business that's doing digital memorabilia or digital art. Right. So I was talking today to one of the most famous artists in America about creating digital art that he's going to sell. Now, up until a few years ago, you couldn't sell digital art because everyone's going to just copy and paste it. But now, because you can make it on the blockchain, it gives it scarcity value. It's like the difference between a real Chanel purse and a fake Chanel purse, right?
Mm.
You know it's the real thing because it's got a blockchain serial number on it, if you want to think about it. And
Right.
and so again, something to think about as an artist is your image, right? Your songs and your image, how that will translate into this new world they're calling NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And so by the time you're 30, it's going to be a huge part of the world. And you're seeing people trade. It's like anything can have value these days if it's scarce. And so Michael Jordan rookie card is selling for $1 million because there are only 21 of them that are in good shape. And everyone wants them right now, right? If there were 500 of them, the price would be a lot lower. And so
Right.
this thing called the blockchain allows digital stuff to not be counterfeited, right? To be unique. And so it's one of the coolest things coming. I would tell, if you had time, one of the things to study for you and your team, and actually, quite frankly, for your fans, is to understand this new thing, NFT. Like Bitcoin started 10 years ago and now it's everywhere. NFTs
Yeah.
started 10 minutes ago. They started literally, within the last 2 months it became popular. And so there, if you want to take a little bit of gamble, there's probably some real good bets, but you got to really know who's hot, you really got to understand your culture at that point.
Right. So how many different forms of cryptocurrency are there?
There's probably more than 2,000, but there's probably only about 30 that really matter.
Right.
And I'm probably invested in 15 of them. And so, you got to be careful that there's this expression called shit coins. They're shit coins because they're shit coins. They're really, they're scams sometimes. They're coins looking for an idea, not ideas looking for a coin. And so that's where you got to be careful. There's so many people. I mean, Floyd Mayweather had his own coin. It didn't do that well, right down the toilet. And I love Floyd Mayweather. But, everyone was trying to cash in on the hype. And so, for most people, investing in what we call the blue chips. Now, I did one of these with Little Yachty a couple weeks ago, and I said, hey, I think DeFi's good, and I gave a few names. Those things have all more than doubled, tripled, some of them. And so sometimes even the blue chips can go crazy. Right now, it's harder to put your money in today than it was 3 weeks ago because it's been the most profitable 3 weeks in crypto. And you're like, okay, I'm not going to feel like the fool that now buys it. And so right now I'd say, yeah, buy a little bit of Bitcoin, maybe a little bit of Ethereum, and wait for things to calm down a little bit. Because we're at full hype master today, right? When the richest man in the world buys it, that's hype. And so it'll come back down at one point, right? Investors, just like humans, you get all excited and then you get all depressed. Markets act the same way. And so, and you got to learn not to fall for when everything's all exciting. Take a deep breath, chill out a little bit. And when things are scary is when you're supposed to be invested. We used to say you got to put yourself in harm's way. You got to stand in front of the oncoming bull, and not get scared. And that's when you make your most money. When everyone else is telling you to buy it, you got to say, whoa, calm down. And so it's a hard psychology, but that's what you learn by doing it. That's why when you're young, you start off with a small amount of money and you're going to make lots of mistakes. It's okay. But hopefully you learn